You wake up in Persepolis, 500 BC, the largest empire in human history. 28 million people under one ruler. You think you'd survive because you've seen the movies, read the history books, maybe played some video games. You wouldn't make it to sunset. Here's why. Within 2 hours, you'd violate a cultural norm you didn't know existed and get beaten by strangers. By noon, you'd drink water that would destroy your intestines for days. By evening, you'd accidentally disrespect the wrong person and end up in front of a judge who could legally order you flayed alive. And that's if you're lucky enough to avoid the diseases, the heat, or the casual violence that defined daily life in the Achaemenid Empire. This is what one day in ancient Persia would actually be like. Why every single thing you take for granted would try to kill you. And why the Persian Empire's greatness came at a cost that would break you in hours. Hour 1. You wake up and immediately start dying of dehydration. The sun isn't up yet, but it's already 85 degrees. You're in Persepolis, the ceremonial capital built by Darius the Great. You're sleeping on the ground because beds don't exist for common people. The floor is dirt. You don't have a pillow. Your blanket is a rough woolen cloth that's given you a rash. You're thirsty, obviously. It's the desert. You drank whatever water was available last night, and your body is already dehydrated from the heat. You need water immediately. This is where your problems begin. There's no running water, no faucets, no bottles, no purification. The water comes from a qanat, an underground channel that brings water from the mountains through a tunnel system. Brilliant engineering for 500 BC. Absolutely catastrophic for your modern immune system. The water is stored in clay pots. It's been sitting there for days. It has visible particles floating in it. You can see it's not clean. But you're thirsty, so you drink it anyway. You've just consumed water contaminated with Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and about 15 other parasites that your body has zero immunity to. Within 6 hours, your intestines will start cramping. You don't have antibiotics. You don't have oral rehydration solution. You have contaminated water and hope. Most people in your situation would die within 3 days from dehydration. But you don't know this yet. Right now, you just drank what tasted like slightly metallic water, and you're trying to figure out what to do next. That's when you realize you need to pee. This creates your second major problem. There are no bathrooms, no toilets, no privacy. There's a designated area outside the residential compound where people go. It's a trench. You squat over it. Everyone can see you. There's no toilet paper. You use your left hand and rinse it with water afterward. This is why the left hand is considered unclean, and you never, ever eat or shake hands with it. You've just committed a social violation that marks you as either a barbarian or an idiot. Hour 3. You violate 5 cultural rules. Before breakfast, you're trying to find food. You're hungry. You see people gathering in a courtyard area where bread is being distributed. You walk up and reach for a piece with your left hand because you're left-handed and it's natural. Everyone stares at you. The man distributing bread pulls it back. An older woman says something in Old Persian that you don't understand, but the contempt in her tone is universal. You've just grabbed food with your shit hand. In Persian culture, this is profoundly offensive. It's not just rude, it's ritually unclean. You try to apologize, but you don't speak the language. Old Persian sounds nothing like modern Farsi. You wouldn't understand ancient Persian any more than a modern English speaker would understand. Beowulf read aloud. You're completely linguistically isolated. But here's where it gets worse. You make eye contact with a woman. Women of respectable families are veiled in public, and direct eye contact from a strange man is a serious offense. You didn't mean anything by it. You were just looking around. Her husband or father sees it and starts shouting at you. You don't understand the words, but you understand anger. You try to back away. You bump into someone behind you, spilling their water. Water is precious. You've just destroyed someone's daily water supply through your clumsiness. Now multiple people are angry at you. A crowd is forming. You're being shouted at in a language you don't understand. Someone shoves you. You shove back instinctively. This is a catastrophic mistake. You've just committed assault. In ancient Persia, physical violence, even in self-defense, is a legal matter. The person you shoved is now within their rights to drag you before a judge. And Persian justice is not gentle. Hour 5, you face Persian law and realize you have no rights. You're brought before a local judge. The Persian Empire had a sophisticated legal system based on Zoroastrian principles of truth and justice. It was considered advanced for its time. It would horrify you. You have no right to an attorney, no right to remain silent, no presumption of innocence. The judge listens to testimony from witnesses, all of whom are Persian speakers who watched you violate cultural norms and commit assault. You can't defend yourself because you can't speak the language. The judge asks you questions through a translator. Where are you from? Who is your master? What family do you belong to? You have no good answers. You're not a slave, but you're not a free Persian citizen either. You have no family connections, no patron, no standing in the community. This makes you nobody. In ancient Persia, your identity is your family and your place in the social hierarchy. Without those connections, you're essentially a non-person. The judge can do whatever he wants to you, and no one will object. Here's what happens to people who commit assault without social standing. The standard punishment is flogging, anywhere from 10 to 50 lashes depending on the severity and the judge's mood. The wounds will get infected. You'll be scarred for life if you survive. But you might get lucky. The judge might decide you're just an ignorant foreigner and sentence you to a fine instead. The problem is, you don't have money. You have nothing. So the fine becomes debt, and debt becomes indentured servitude until it's paid off. Either way, your day is about to get much worse. Hour 8, the heat tries to kill you. Let's say you avoid legal punishment through sheer luck or the judge's mercy. You're released back into the city. It's now noon. The temperature is 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun is directly overhead. There's no shade except inside buildings you're not allowed to enter. You need water again, but you've learned your lesson about the local water. Your stomach is already churning from this morning. You need to find water that's safe to drink. There isn't any. The Persians have partially solved this problem through boiling water for tea and fermented drinks like beer, which kill most pathogens. But you don't have access to these. You're a stranger with no money in a city where everything costs something. The water is still contaminated. You drink it anyway because dehydration will kill you faster than dysentery. Your body is not handling the heat. You're sweating constantly, which means you're losing salt along with water. You're getting dizzy. Your head hurts. You're experiencing early-stage heat exhaustion. If you don't find shade and rest, you'll progress to heat stroke, which will kill you within hours. You find a shaded area near a wall and collapse. A Persian man walks by and says something. You don't respond. You're too exhausted. He kicks you and shouts. You realize you're sitting in the shadow of a fire temple, a sacred Zoroastrian site. You're not allowed to rest here. You've committed another religious offense without knowing it. This is the fundamental problem with your situation. Every single action you take violates rules you don't know exist. The Persians have complex social hierarchies, religious laws, and cultural expectations that govern behavior. You don't know any of them. You're stumbling through society like a bull in a pottery shop, destroying things without meaning to. Hour 12, you discover Persian food will destroy you. You're starving. You managed to get some bread earlier before the left-hand incident, but that was hours ago. You need real food. You see people eating at what looks like a public cooking area. They're eating some kind of stew with bread. It smells amazing. Your stomach growls. You have no money. In ancient Persia, the currency is the darak, a gold coin stamped with the image of the great king. 1 darak is worth about 3 months of common labor. You don't have any. You have nothing to trade. You're not getting food unless someone gives it to you out of charity. Let's say someone takes pity on you and gives you a bowl of stew. You eat it desperately, not caring what's in it. You're about to find out. The stew contains lamb, onions, and a variety of spices including cumin, coriander, and saffron. It also contains herbs and ingredients your stomach has never encountered. More importantly, it was cooked hours ago and has been sitting in the heat. The meat is partially spoiled. The water it was cooked in was the same contaminated water you've been drinking. Within an hour, you'll experience intense stomach cramps. You're now losing fluids from both ends. Your dehydration is accelerating. Actually, Persian medicine was advanced for its era, incorporating knowledge from Egyptian, Mesopotamian, and Indian medical traditions. But you can't afford a doctor. Medical treatment costs money. You have none. You're going to have to survive this on your own. Most people in your situation wouldn't. Hour 16. You realize violence is everywhere. It's late afternoon. You're severely dehydrated, possibly dying from food poisoning, and stumbling through streets you don't understand. A man is being punished in the public square. He's tied to a post. A guard is whipping him. You count 30 lashes. The man's back is shredded, blood running down to the ground. The crowd watches casually. Some are eating. This is entertainment. You learn through gestures and broken communication that the man stole food. The punishment for theft in ancient Persia is severe: flogging, amputation of the hand, or death, depending on the value of what was stolen. This is considered justice. This is normal, but it gets darker. You see a man walking through the city with no nose. Rhinotomy, cutting off someone's nose, was a common punishment for serious crimes. It marked you as a criminal for life. Everyone could see what you'd done just by looking at your face. The Persian Empire's greatness, its massive roads, its efficient bureaucracy, its religious tolerance, was built on a foundation of strict hierarchy and brutal enforcement. Step out of line, and the consequences were immediate and physical. You don't have the social knowledge to stay in line. Hour 20. Sunset brings new dangers. It's evening. The sun is setting. The temperature drops from 110 to 95 degrees. You're still alive somehow, despite dehydration, food poisoning, and multiple cultural violations. It's not. Night in ancient Persia is dangerous. There's no street lighting, no police force patrolling neighborhoods. Security is provided by the Achaemenid night watchmen, but they're concentrated in wealthy districts. The residential areas where common people live are dark and largely unprotected. Crime is common. Robbery, assault, even murder happen regularly in the poorer districts. You're a foreign-looking person with no community connections, stumbling around sick and disoriented. You're a perfect target. You find a place to sleep. Another patch of ground in a residential courtyard. You curl up and try to rest. Your stomach is still churning. You're feverish from dehydration and possible infection. Your back hurts from sleeping on bare ground. You're covered in insect bites from flies and mosquitoes that have been feeding on you all day. You hear footsteps. Someone is approaching. You can't see who in the darkness. They say something in Persian. You don't respond. They come closer. You realize they're trying to rob you. You have nothing to steal. But they don't know that until they check. This is where your day ends, either in violence or in exhausted sleep that leads to more suffering tomorrow, or in death from the accumulated medical emergencies your body has endured. Here's the brutal reality. The Achaemenid Persian Empire was the most advanced civilization of its era. It had roads, postal systems, standardized currency, and religious tolerance. It was genuinely impressive, and it would still kill you within 24 hours. The water would give you dysentery. Your immune system has zero resistance to ancient pathogens. Modern water treatment has made you dependent on clean water. Ancient water would destroy you. The food would poison you. No refrigeration, no food safety standards. Meat sits in the heat. Water used for cooking is contaminated. Your stomach can't handle it. The heat would exhaust you. 110-degree temperatures with no air conditioning, limited water, and constant sun exposure. Heat exhaustion would incapacitate you within hours. The cultural rules would get you punished. You don't speak the language. You don't know the social norms. Every action you take violates expectations you don't understand. The legal system would crush you. The violence would traumatize you. Public flogging, amputation, execution, this was normal. Justice was swift, brutal, and physical. You're not psychologically prepared for this level of casual violence. The disease would kill you. Dysentery, cholera, typhoid, malaria, all common in ancient Persia. You have no immunity. You have no modern medicine. Your survival odds are near zero. The Persian Empire was great because Persians were adapted to these conditions. They built immunity to local diseases. They knew the cultural rules. They understood how to survive in extreme heat. They accepted violence as normal. You have none of these adaptations. You're a modern person dropped into an ancient world that your body and mind aren't equipped to handle. The things that make the Persian Empire fascinating in history books, its scale, its power, its sophistication wouldn't save you from dying of dehydrated diarrhea in a stranger's courtyard. That's why you wouldn't survive one day in ancient Persia. Not because you're weak, because the gap between modern life and ancient reality is so vast that crossing it without preparation is functionally impossible. The empire that ruled 28 million people would kill you with its drinking water before you made it to lunch.